What's up, everybody? Dev Del Molino in here today, and I'm rocking my Lil Wayne Carter 3 t-shirt, and I am ready to do a review of this new Future album. Future is what it's called, the name of the artist. So fans only got about a 3 to 4 day notice before Future's album came out, and he coupled that with the announcement of a big fat tour that he's going to be doing, which is great because I will be going down to the one in Ridgefield, Washington, if you want to meet me there. So I definitely appreciate the pre-release from Future on this album, just because he's been out of the spotlight for a little bit, taking a bit of a break, and this is a great way for him to make a splash coming back into the scene. Zoom is probably my favorite record on this album and kicks off a good stretch of tracks within this LP, and everything about this song is just fast-paced. He switches lanes fast, counting up stacks quick, time is money kind of feel. The song itself is not at a very high BPM and has this very deep bass to it, but it is the very sharp and ticking hi-hats that kind of speed this song up, and it's the very woozy and metallic accessories to this beat that kind of help grab the ear. Mask Off is another highlight on this album for me. Never would I have thought I would enjoy a track so much in which the chorus, the primary refrain to it is Percocet, Molly Percocet. The instrumental to this record has a very dark and subdued nature to it, with sweet pan flute samples, by the way. And again, we find a track where the subdued nature of the instrumental really pairs well with his subdued and intoxicated style of flow and performance on this track. And again, we find an instance where the instrumental is very much enhancing his performance on the record and makes a very complete sound. Draco is a song I like on this LP. It is one of my favorites, and as the title would suggest, this is an ode to Future's beloved Draco. I like this song a lot. It has one of the best chorus and instrumental pairings on the track list. This beat is very trap. It's got this kind of rolling, booming 808. The sound effects that accent this beat are very cellular and futuristic. This is a very good example of a Future track in which the infrastructure itself makes the song hot. Future delivers a performance on here that is very underwhelming, a little lazy, and just kind of all over the place, but it doesn't impede the impact of the record itself. Because of the hook and the instrumental being so good themselves, you could put anybody on this track and it would still be as dope as it is currently. When you hear a dope Future track, it is often the infrastructure of the song itself that makes it a good song, rather than what Future is doing to the track to make it better. Now, on the Traverse side of that statement, if Future finds himself on a track that's not that great, he has a very hard time elevating that track, and more often than not, he kind of goes down with the ship. So then we look at a track like So Groovy, which comes along in the midsection of this album. When you look at the instrumental to this song, there is just no bite to it, and somehow the accents and the core elements simultaneously take a backseat when you are listening. So when Future takes center stage on this track, his lack of impact is all the more glaring. He flows pretty monotonously on this track, and when it comes to his lyrics or his vocal performances, neither of those really grab the listener either. And then he has this terrible ad-lib between most of the lines that is like a but like it plays So the main point that I'm trying to make here is that Future has extremely good resources, and he has a good team behind him, and he has access to a lot of A-list producers. All of this comes together in a way that allows him to get on tracks consistently that fit him like a glove. So what I concluded from all this is that Future does not enhance music the way that music can at times enhance him. So on the back end of this record, we get 2 Zaytoven-produced songs, both of which are much more lyrically intensive and focused than anything else that shows up on the album. The first is When I Was Broke, which is a pretty straightforward song, but it talks about, you know, this woman that has held Future down through his struggle. And what I like about this track especially is that it's a great way of telling Future's struggle before success and using, you know, this woman that held him down as somewhat of a trope to tell that story. Zaytoven comes through with a beautiful piano-laced instrumental that kind of engages and encourages the idea of storytelling on this song. Finally, we end the album out with Feds Did a Sweep, which is kind of another self-explanatory title about feds doing drug raids. Zaytoven does another good job here, although it is a little bit more of a typical Zaytoven style beat, and Future comes through with probably the best lyrics he has on this entire album. The lyrics here are much more specific and emotional as Future details the death of a friend as a result of a drug raid. Future goes on to explain that in the ghetto, there aren't a lot of opportunities for money and employment, therefore making drug sales and drug trafficking a much more lucrative business that communities begin to depend on. So Future tells us through his eyes, when the feds come and they sweep up a couple bandos, it's not just devastating for the people that are going to get locked up because of what they're doing, it's their families and the communities around them that depend on this cash flow that are devastated as well. And it perpetuates a cycle of necessity to do illegal things to make money. Overall, this is one of Future's best and most focused tracks, and it ends this album off on an extremely powerful note. Now, the real problem I have with this album is all the stuff that comes in between these songs that I really like. And I've had this issue with most of Future's previous projects where I listen to the entire body of work and then I pick out those 5, 6 songs that I really like, and this entire album becomes consolidated to just that. Overall, the skits, the storytelling, and the fact that it's a self-titled album gives the album a more personalized feel. For the most part, this album is well produced. It has a lot of good moments of synthesis between Future and the production. But ultimately, you listen to all 17 tracks of this album the first time, and then the second time you reduce it to a much, much smaller highlight reel. And those are the adjectives that describe this record to me. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this album. I'd love to see some discussion down in the comments about what you guys think about this album. And if you're still watching, I'd love to give you a big thank you for rocking with me on this review. I will be doing more of these in the future and look forward to doing them, and you'll just have to catch me on the next one. Alright, peace.